Hi everyone, thank you for watching video 3. In this video I just want to show you that I have nothing to hide. I'm going to read you the emails that I sent and let you decide, if I deserved ultimately what I got after all that happened to me for sending some fun emails. A friend of mine confronted 2 leaders at home about what they did to me. And the first person, who was the head of disasters for Idaho and Montana at the time, told her that due diligence was performed prior to my termination. Due diligence. Is it due diligence to terminate a person that you know personally without asking them so much as, what happened? How could this happen? Why would you do this? This is not like you. To this day, I don't know exactly what I was accused of. Remember, there is likely some truly heinous report out there about me that says God knows what. I have no idea. Apparently, whatever is reported is seriously compelling, considering after everything they did to me that I was still terminated. The truth is, I only know what you know at this point, which brings me to the CEO of Idaho Red Cross. She told my friend that my friend likely didn't know all of the details. Well, she knows what I know, and you know what she knows, and we all know the same things. So, what else is there? I have no idea. I had a sterling reputation. But understand this, I could have had a years-long flawed record with all sorts of black marks, and it would be 100% irrelevant. The only thing that is relevant here is what they did to me. I could be a terrible person, completely irrelevant. So don't think that just because I'm a nice person or a good person or anything that you perceive me to be, that this is too bad that it happened to me. That is completely irrelevant. This never should have been allowed to happen. So, without further ado, let me get started. This first email that I'm going to read to you is the official verbal reprimand that I received via email out of nowhere. Remember, policy would say that first a conversation should be had, and then on the first occasion after such a conversation that there should be coaching that happens before you ever get started into any sort of formal reprimand. LayLa, you made me aware of the safety issue at the school. I take the issue very seriously. I worked it out on my end and was told that it had been taken care of yesterday. I told this to you this morning. Then I received a call from Paul about a side door not being locked. I told Paul that this would be taken care of here on my end. If I need you guys to do anything else, I will let you know. I just spoke with the shelter coordinator, and he told me that you spoke with him about your concerns. Moving forward, any concerns you have from the field are to be reported to me directly. If you or anyone needs to speak to anyone in headquarters, it should and will be done by me. I will notify you if there is anything to push down the chain. Safety and security on the field role is to speak to the point of contact at sites, including shelter workers and other law enforcement agencies, not to speak to anyone at the headquarters unless authorized by me. I, as the manager, will deal with everything reported to me from the field unless instructed otherwise. So there's a whole big insulting paragraph about this is what your job is, and let's just make sure to keep going that way forward. When the reality is that a manager that was any good at his job, it never would have gotten to this point in the first place. And second of all, the manager would have said, thank you for taking care of this. Now, a manager who's going to get uptight about his managerial authority and how important he feels at getting the important things done at headquarters might have a conversation with a person and say, you know, I don't know what you've experienced with other managers in the past, but this is the way that I prefer to do it. So in the future, if you would have another conversation with me about your concerns or whatever, or blah, 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 right? But this was just one of those guys, right? This is an official directive from me. I am trusting that this will not happen again. This is an official verbal reprimand. You voiced your concerns to me twice, and a report was done. It is not your place to overstep in this manner. Violation of the chain of command. That's the sentence. Violation of the chain of command. This is an official directive from me. This is an official verbal reprimand. Am I the only person that thinks it's funny that I'm receiving an official verbal reprimand via email? I don't even think that, I know that it's like have a conversation and then there's coaching, and I still think that there's another step that happens before a verbal reprimand would happen and then a written reprimand, and I don't know what all goes from there because I've never been so far to the first step really. So after everything that I went through, this is an official verbal reprimand received by email without so much as a conversation. LayLa, why did you have the conversation with that person? What led you to make this decision? What is there that I don't already know? There's so many other ways to have handled this. And the reality is here, please do not think that because this is a volunteer organization that anybody can become a manager. Now, field-promoted managers are another thing entirely, and that just happens. But this person was an actual manager of safety and security. I was a supervisor, and it took me a long time to get to that point. You have to have actual experience doing your job, and a lot of it. You're not just going to be assigned, you're going to be the manager of this. So you can't say that he wouldn't have known any better. He would have seen examples of great managers, because there are a lot of great managers in safety and security. And he wouldn't have seen half the things that he did in his job wouldn't have been something that he saw by example from other managers. I've worked with a number of those managers, and I never saw some of the crap that he pulled. So, let's get to the fun part, right? Keep in mind that after everything that I've been through, after everything that he did to me, that his manager did to me, that here we go with some more crap. They couldn't get me off the job. They couldn't get me kicked off the job. They couldn't get me to voluntarily get reassigned or anything like that. And so here I get an official verbal reprimand via email without a conversation. So this is sent, because no secrets here, this is sent to the manager and to his manager because he had copied his manager. What should have happened is his manager being copied in that first email, she should have immediately gone to him and said, why did you do this? This is not appropriate in any way, shape, or form. She should have been the one, because she's his manager, so she's even higher up. She should have the experience to know that this was not appropriate, that this shouldn't have happened, and that he needs to pull back that email, get on the phone with me, and say, hey, what happened? What's going on? That should have been her job. So she's copied back in this one. All right. You can just keep your mouth shut after what you did to me last week. I have zero respect for you. I have been trying and trying to extend you grace, but I am over it. The shelter manager called her manager, and I had zero intentions originally of speaking to that manager. Bottom line, fuck your verbal reprimand. I am out processing without concern, which meant that I was going to be leaving the job. I've been doing this 5 years. Countless people know that I can do my job. You, on the other hand, are a seriously shitty safety and security manager. It's his first job. It was, as a manager. It's level 7, which is the highest level, and he's new. That's what we say. And you bet your ass I am still waiting for my apology. This includes you to his manager. No shame. No shame. Are you kidding me? So, this is literally what I was terminated over. After hours and hours and hours of meetings, of defending myself, of being degraded, dehumanized, made nothing more than a disability, for days of not knowing what is going on, for multiple lies being told. And now, when I'm dealing with the life safety of our people in the field, and I receive out of nowhere an official verbal reprimand, how dare I have some thoughts about that? How dare I stand up for myself? So, I was just getting started. But it's not like, I didn't spend all day sending terrible emails to people or anything. But I had more thoughts, so I did send a second email. But this one went to his manager's manager's manager. And Fryer the liar. Because again, I'm not trying to hide anything. And let's get one more thing cleared up. You told me this morning that Berwick, which was a different shelter, had been handled. And we verified that those doors were locked. So in his email where he was talking about, he told, I was told it was taken care of yesterday and blah, blah, blah. That was a separate issue entirely. That he wasn't even talking about the right thing. You did not say anything other than the shelter may close this weekend. So the compromised shelter may close this weekend. And this was early in the week. I don't know if I can, well, it was done on Thursday. But this weekend could still mean anything. And it may close this weekend. So it's not like, every night that our people were sleeping there, they were compromised. So they should have had security immediately, not a few days from now, because if an attack were to happen tonight, or somebody who has serious problems comes in, or whatever, tonight, this is a life safety issue tonight, not may close this weekend. So that was my thought process in reaching out to talking to the shelter manager and just making sure that she knew that she could talk to her manager as well. You did not say anything other than the shelter may close this weekend. That in no way addresses existing security issues. And just for fun, Fryer, I was talking to a national volunteer partner, and before a full sentence could come out of my mouth, she's a liar. So it's no secret. I didn't even I didn't even have to tell this person that Fryer was a liar. She just knew immediately. It blows my mind that you're an assistant director like you can possibly be on a level 7 job, because she is in a very high position of a very high job. So she's not someone that she's not new to this. But then again, you probably lied your way to the top. Thanks for being the entertainment, guys. You bet your useless asses that this is going to Brad Kaiserman. Enjoy his wrath. But as we already know, I went all the way to the top. Brad Kaiserman is the top of disasters with the Red Cross. And if things go to the media, Brad will show up immediately. It's very serious when he shows up and he sees things. It doesn't matter if it wasn't the person's fault or anything else. It's really about optics. So the volunteer partner, she told me in a personal conversation that if Brad knew about what happened to me, that these people would straight up be going home immediately without question, because of how inappropriate it was, and it violated so many policies. But I now know from experience that those policies mean nothing. I should have been protected. This is a text message that I sent to, or in exchange with the investigator, because he was back to, because I created an incident through these emails, so he was assigned to investigate that too. So this is a text message he sent me. Hi Layla, please let me know when you make your travel plans. Also, let me know if you need a mission guard reload, and if you are all good, and if you need anything else. So he's asking me, when I get my flight and if I need any additional funds to get home. And my response, and this I want you to see, like, that this is everything, right? After what you did to me, I'm still waiting for your apology also. And I said that countless times, that I'm waiting for that apology. I told the job director, that I just want lessons learned from this. I want this to mean that something of value could come out of it, because it's already happened, it's already awful. Let's learn something, and I'll wait for those apologies. Okay, this one is actually from the CEO of Idaho, American Red Cross, the Idaho chapter, and this is her response to my appeal. Hi Layla, thank you again for reaching out to me to share your experience and seek an appeal for voluntary service reinstatement. First of all, share my experience. My experience. It's not my, experience just makes it sound like something that I perceived, or some, I don't know, just idea of what happened to me. It's not a matter of what they did to me, like what happened. It's not how I perceived anything, or just like some, maybe I'm sensitive, or who knows what. Thank you for reaching out to share your experience. I found there to be some complexity and circumstances during your deployment that would benefit from involvement from our Ombudsman Office, a completely confidential, neutral group that will listen to your concerns and concerns to understand your experience. I've attached more information about their services and why I think they can be helpful. I will be connecting you via email with their office. So this is a completely confidential, neutral group that's paid for by the Red Cross. Some complexities and circumstances, some complexity. Harassment, degradation, complexity? Actually, it's pretty simple to me. Layla, I have read through your appeal and also reviewed some of the email communication you sent during the deployment. Thanks for mentioning that you sought and appreciated some coaching that you weren't able to put into practice. Several of the emails sent by you on September 23rd use profanity and language that does not meet the American Red Cross Code of Conduct. The communication could be considered harassment. After hours and days of them harassing me, those two emails could be considered harassment. As the American Red Cross and I am committed to ensuring a harassment-free workplace for all, I'm obligated to report it to the Concern Connection line. That's like where you would report fraud or waste or major issues such as harassment. Even though that likely has also been reported previously. As a result, I will not be approving your appeal for reinstatement, and your service with Red Cross remains terminated. LayLa, I sincerely thank you for your service. I hope you decide to work with the Ombudsman Office, a great resource that is an effective forum to address some of the concerns. It's my concern. It's my concern what happened to me. I'm just concerned about it and issues you've identified. Wishing you all the best. That's the CEO of Greater Idaho and Montana. Okay, my response to that. Thank you for reminding me of the concern connection line. I like how they define harassment as actions or conduct that are degrading, offensive, humiliating, and or intimidating that create a hostile work environment. I could never describe what happened to me more perfectly. Further, they describe discrimination as statements, conduct, or actions based on, among other things, disability that are the basis for employment, promotion, or compensation decisions. They were actively using my disability to determine my ability to do my job. I'm not well aware of the actions of the concerned connection line. However, I would assume that they are more than capable of handling the complexities and circumstances of my experience. I've only ever heard that the ombudsmen are good listeners. Considering I am no longer a member of the Red Cross, and all the ears that need to hear have heard being hers, I've done my part. I'll never forget my service to the Red Cross, especially considering I was severely injured in a car accident on my very first deployment. My thumb reminds me of my service to the Red Cross almost every single day when I use my crutch and my thumb cries out in pain. And that pain has subsided, thank goodness, but even in the hospital, it was terrible. Now I suspect that my brain might take a twist to the negative and ask if the pain I'm experiencing from the car accident was worth it. Right? I've been kicked out of the Red Cross, and my thumb still hurts. Great reminder. I'll have to learn to tell my brain to shut up. I'm not going to let a couple of, or 4, assholes in Louisiana get me down. I will, however, mourn for just a minute that the region that I spent years building my reputation with didn't have faith in me. That is literally the only part of this that is unimaginable to me, that the region didn't have my back, that they knew me personally. I didn't really work a ton locally. I worked for the region. I'll leave you now with this fun read, and I link to an article about, it's titled, Severely Injured Bike Crash Red Cross Volunteer Sets Sights on Deploying Again. The region did not have my back. I am a criminal. I am a criminal for fighting back. Okay, this one. I sent this one in response to the due diligence issue when that leader said that due diligence was performed. So I just want you to keep in mind that this one's pretty salty. But I've already been terminated, and I was terminated for using salty words, salty language. So I may as well live up to it, right? Like, this is what I've been crucified for. I may as well live up to what I've been found guilty of and entertain myself a little along the way, right? It is titled, subject line, Due Diligence, ? Is that how region leadership sleeps at night? After being degraded, humiliated, and harassed by high-level leadership on the job, the same assholes, yes assholes, get to write some nasty report about me to send to the region. Next, the volunteer coordinator, who is only doing her job, summarily terminated a faithful volunteer of 7 years, before so much as calling me and asking me what happened. She calls some department at National who supports the termination. When she does get around to calling me, does she bother asking me a single question about what happened? Nope. She just says, "You must know what this is about." No, actually. I have no idea. Did you talk to the deployment coordinator? I asked. Do you know anything about what happened to me? Do you know what they did to me? Nope. Okay then. I didn't really worry about it at all. She didn't know. The deployment coordinator knew. The region's got my back. The deployment coordinator knows every little detail of what they did to me. I had no idea that someone on the job could have me terminated. Whatever. The region knows me. These people, they know me. They will be horrified when they find out what happened to me. Due diligence? Are you fucking kidding me? Yes, I use the word fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. When I found out that the volunteer coordinator was the one that actually pulled the plug, I was horrified, but still not worried, because this was going to get corrected. The region was going to sort this out. When she finds out what they did to me, she's going to be horrified. There are not two sides to this story. There was only what they did to me. And then what it was followed up by, when it was followed up by a grossly inappropriate emailed official verbal reprimand, did that asshole bother calling me on the phone to ask me what led me to the decision to solve a problem the way I did? Nope. Just like the volunteer coordinator, he summarily issued a reprimand. There is nothing that justifies what he did. What I did barely warranted a chat. It definitely didn't warrant coaching, but it was totally cool for him to break policy and jump straight to verbal reprimand. When you tell someone that you did your due diligence, do you know what that suggests? That suggests that there is something that party doesn't know. It suggests that there is more to the story, or another side to the story. But people that know me know damn well that there isn't more, because I'm not hiding anything, right? The volunteer partner to the National Disability Integration person told me that if Brad Kaiserman knew what they did to me, that those people would be off the job. Yet where was National defending me? All of their resources ghosted me immediately. Have you read that report? It must be pretty fucking compelling. So much for the concept that the region has my back, and that my reputation stands for itself. By the people that know me, by the people that know what they did to me, I'm always asked why I don't sue. The deployment coordinator knows every sick and twisted detail. And I did a fucking, oh, there's that word again, fucking awesome job. I did. It was so awesome to just be a normal human being when I was out in the field with my teammates. For a fleeting moment, I got to experience life again. It was magical, no regrets. I would do it all over again, every last bit. Due diligence? Don't kid yourself. I know you were better than that. It brings all the feels for me. I really thought that recording this video would be more fun in a sense, to maybe, I don't know, like poke fun at my reaction or something, but we're talking about like deep trauma. Just shame in being so weak that I couldn't defend myself. I mean, I knew myself to be strong enough to handle myself. I've handled some horrible situations in life, and to, you know, like, to be so embarrassed to cry and ashamed, and I could have given up. I could have just said, you know what, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't be out in the field. Maybe I should just sit at a desk for 12 to 16 hours and, you know, I'm still pitching in. I'm still helping the cause. That was never going to happen. That would never have happened. I worked my ass off to be able to sign my name on the dotted line saying, I understand my job. I've looked at the physical capacity grid. I can do these things. And to be reduced to nothing more than a disability, and, you know, where it's like 15 months later and I'm just as traumatized, and I just like, how do these people live with themselves? But they don't think about it. They don't think about what they did or the implications of what they did. And these are people that they're high-level leaders. I mean, the Idaho CEO and the volunteer coordinator, she summarily terminated. She knows me personally, and she summarily terminated me without so much as a conversation. I was on my way to the airport when she called, and she says, you must know what this is about. And I had absolutely no idea. I assumed that it just had something to do with making sure that I was getting home all right and whatnot, and then we would deal with whatever when I got home. I had no idea why she was calling me. And so I joked, am I fired? And she goes, yeah, actually you are. And I was with some other people and not in a place to have some big conversation about this. But I assumed that I was terminated from someone on the job. But that's not how it works. Like, it has to go back to the region, and then the region decides how to process. Like, you go home with with a notation that there was a serious offense, and then your region decides how they're going to proceed. And so, again, without so much as a conversation, but I didn't know at that I didn't know at that point that she was the one that terminated me. I just assumed that it was out of her hands at that point. And so I wasn't concerned, because I asked her point blank, like, do you know what happened to me? Like, what happened to me? Not, you know, what went on or anything like that. Like, what happened to me? There was an offense against me as a person, as a human being. And she said no, and she didn't ask. And I asked, you know, I was like, has the deployment coordinator spoken to you? no, I haven't talked to her. And she knew she didn't know everything. She knew then, because I asked her. And she knew that she didn't know the facts. And she terminated me anyways. It was made official, like she pressed the button after we hung up the phone, because within a minute I received notifications that like my email was no longer accessible, and I think that I received an email to a personal email address just stating that things had been revoked. And that's how this all went down. It is, it's funny because my husband blames the job director. Absolutely, like he absolutely holds all of this against the job director, because the job director told me to trust him, that he was going to handle this. If the job director had handled this, they would never have dared to so much as speak to me in a coaching manner. They would have had someone else tiptoe around if a conversation needed to be had with me about how I conducted business. They would have tiptoed around, and there's no way that the same 4 people that were involved in what happened to me, that they would have been involved in, even if a valid reprimand after several offenses was necessary, they would never have been involved in that. And the job director would have made sure of that. And the job director, I learned, who at the time was at like the highest position within a division for disasters, he was promoted to a national job in the last year. A lot of respect for him, and so my husband just blames him, but I more so put it on the, it's like it shouldn't have ever happened. Then it should have stopped with my manager's manager. Then it should have stopped with her manager. Then it should have stopped with the investigator. Disability integration never should have let it happen. It should have stopped at all of these points. The job director should have stopped it. The one that actually pulled the plug was the volunteer coordinator, who knew she didn't have all the facts, because I asked her, do you know what happened to me? Do you know what they did to me? Did you talk to the deployment coordinator? So she knew that there were all these holes that she didn't know anything about, and she's the one that pulled the plug. But then it really should have stopped with the Idaho CEO. Just no integrity. I don't understand it. I don't understand. Like, I know these people. I had great respect for them, and how could this happen? And it's traumatic to this day, because having 2 weeks of normal, no matter how clouded they were, was so meaningful to my recovery, and I have slipped back in so many ways. I would have to start over again. Yeah, it would be faster to get into fighting shape to be able to deploy, but it's not something that I could do today. Just being able to be normal, just, yes, I have to work for it, and, playing the part comes at a great cost to me, because it just takes so much energy, but it's worth it. It was worth it to just be myself, and to just be able to work with awesome people. My teammates felt compelled to tell our manager they didn't have any worries about me. And throughout all of those days, the manager was asking the people that I worked with, they were asking my teammates, how's she doing? And they defended me every single time. These people felt compelled to go out of their way and say, I have no concerns. She's great. They should never have felt that in the first place. It never should have been a question mark. Ever. This has taken such a toll on me, and I want my experience to matter. I want it to matter, and you writing that letter makes it matter. Your letter matters to me. Your letter helps ease my experience just a little bit, that we can learn something, and that the Title I of the ADA will include volunteers, and that what happened to me won't be allowable anymore. I'm not saying that what happened to me won't happen again, because it will happen again, but at least there will be some recourse. At least that person may be able to say from the beginning, what you're doing now is illegal. You can't tie me up in all of these meetings trying to gaslight me like this. Like, this is not allowed. Title I does not allow anything that happened to me to happen. Even my termination. My termination was rooted in what they did to me. It's not just I snapped for no reason or anything like that. It is completely rooted in what they did to me. And what they did to me should be illegal. And extending Title I of the ADA to volunteers would do that. I could have stopped it from the beginning in the hospital when I had to take those classes about my rights and learning about Title I. I could have learned that inquiries aren't even allowed. They can't ask me for details about my medical history or anything like that. This has all come at a really great cost to me. So please help me make it matter in some way. And bringing coverage to volunteers under Title I of the ADA would do that. Thank you so much for, you've watched a lot at this point. I really appreciate it. Please help me make what happened to me matter. Thank you.